time to waste. We're going to go into why Canelo and Crawford have been canceled. Now, I'm going to go to the news source that I first went to see this at, and it was not Boxing Ego. So,
Alex Pereira says he was hacked. Is it true?
oops, let me play this one right here. Okay, so let's go to Boxing Ego. He's the first guy that mentioned this. And you know what? I haven't seen this video yet. So I think it's going to be fresh, right? In terms of, yeah, so canceled fight date. Okay, so they're not canceling it altogether. What they are doing is simply rescheduling the date. And for whatever reason that is, we don't know. We have very limited information on this matter. Boxing Ego is the first guy that I've seen talk about this, so let's get into it right now.
We want to see it. Regarding the upcoming fight between Fede, you want Fede? I know that Canelo Alvarez, Saul Alvarez, and Terrence Crawford. In this video, I'm going to break it down, let you know what's bad, and just really give my thoughts. So, without further ado, let's get it. So, Ring put out a brand new update regarding Canelo and Crawford fight. Now they've switched the date. It was supposed to be on a Friday. That's what they put out. I made the video, reported on that. Now they say they're not doing it on a Friday, right?
So, that would have been a great weekend, to be quite honest with you, because in that same weekend, you are going to have UFC Noche, which is now their annual September card. That was supposed to be in Guadalajara, Mexico, and this fight was supposed to be up in Las Vegas. So Dana White would be promoting both events in that particular week, and now that's not happening. Well, now they're having a press conference that is going to be held in Riyadh in June. So what comes of that? What city are they going to do it in? Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if they do decide to hold this fight out in Saudi Arabia. That's a great possibility. But let's find out.
It says the Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford Ring Magazine super middleweight fight will now take place on Saturday, September 13th. Turki Al-Sheikh told The Ring. The Riyadh season pay-per-view event could land in 5 potential locations.
Okay, so now it's not going to be on a Friday, which would have been great, right? It would have been a great starter for the UFC and the TKO brand that whole entire weekend. You would have had a Friday boxing, and then you would have had UFC Noche in September 13th, because this fight originally was supposed to be on September 12th, and it would have been great. But I think what they're going to do, more than likely, it could be a overseas card, meaning it could be a British card, it could be a Saudi Arabian card. But if that is the case, guess what? They're still going to hold it on the same day, and you're still going to have UFC on that same day. So it's still going to be a double header, just not one day apart from each other. Now, why are they doing this? Well, we may find out, we may not. Let's get to Boxing Ego's content here in audio form as I react to it.
Across New York, LA, or Vegas. So let's just start in chronological order.
Okay, so let me read this right here. Let me show you what I'm looking at right here. Okay, so the Ring Magazine, Canelo Alvarez versus Crawford. Ring Magazine Super Middleweight Championship will now take place Saturday the 13th. Turki Al-Sheikh tells Ring Magazine. Okay, so Riyadh pay-per-view season could land in 5 potential locations. New York City, Los Angeles, or okay. So it is going to be in, yes, it is going to be in the United States. So that means they're going to coincide with the times that are going on in there. So, okay, so James, I'm sorry, shout out to James Ray, shout out to Toxic Gameplays. Toxic Gameplay says, yo, Cafe Kyrie. Well, here it is. A little, morning cafe for you guys. It is morning here in sunny California. It's morning somewhere else in the other side of the world other than California. So James Ray says, "Hey, so that's way active." Okay, so that's way active. Yep, trying to stay active. Trying to get the likes up, trying to get the subscriptions up, trying to 7 a.m. rise and grind in Cali. That's right, my man. That's right. You know your time zone, my man. Shout outs to Atlanta, man. Shout outs to my man Toxic Gameplays out in Atlanta. I know you guys are in what do you call it? Uh, in East Coast time. So James Ray says, I mean the Facebook. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I try to remain active there too. For those that don't know, I also have exclusive clips that I put on Facebook. So if you're a Facebook friend of mine, you can definitely tap into these videos, these exclusive clip videos that I have. But on any regard, we got a lot to talk about. Turkey El-Sheikh canceling this date for 1 day above. I mean, it's not going to really offset their training camp to any degree. Just 1 day of, I guess, just missing 1 day, which really doesn't mean much in fight camps to any degree. But why are they doing this? Well, we're going to find out right now. And shout out to Boxing Ego for this content right here.
Order with what I just read for you guys. That in and of itself is a bad look, terrible look. When have you ever seen a super fight that was announced on a particular date and then a week or so later they say, tight, gotcha, bitch. It's on the.
Yeah, look, I think Boxing Ego, being that the way that he is, he's a very, how do I say this, very cynical person. Everything about his delivery, everything about his suspicions on things sort of fall into, cynicism. It's constant cynicism with Boxing Ego. He's saying, well, when have you ever heard an event that was announced? And all of a sudden they're like, psych, this and that. Like, Turkey El-Sheikh is not one of your homies in the hood, that's trying to like play you or this and that, or has any ulterior motives or hidden agenda. I mean, why are they doing that? Maybe perhaps the reason why they are doing that is predicated on, let's say, trying to accommodate for the right venue, accommodate for the right time. Also, you got to understand UFC Noche is also on that same day as well. Here it is again, Canelo fighting on the same day as a UFC card. Last year, it was Marab versus O'Malley. This year, it is UFC's Noche, and that was when he fought Berlanga. But yeah, I don't think a Boxing Ego should lean towards cynicism. I understand why he does. A lot of it is predicated on trying to create entertainment value. And here's another thing, too, that you got to understand about YouTubers and MMA content creators, right? A lot of the things that they do is a work, right? Like, for example, when MMA Guru made a video about John Jones being gay, right? We obviously know that that is a work. Why did he want to do that? Because he's trying to catch attention. He's trying to do it at a time where during that video in which he made, there wasn't really a lot of MMA news going on. So as a result, he decided, you know what, I'm going to make a video claiming that John Jones is gay to get some kind of attention. By the way, guys, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button as we go on and talk about why Canelo and Crawford's fight have been canceled, and also possible location switched on top of that. So please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's get on with this subject matter at hand.
Different date. I haven't personally seen that. I don't know when that's ever happened. And my thing is this.
Look on dollar.com to get our.
And as soon as he says my thing is this, it goes into commercial. And YouTube has a very good way of doing that in yeah. So here we go.
People continue to make the same mistake. For me, I hate making mistakes. A little story about me personally.
All right, so he's going to go into his own little personal story and this and that. And he's saying he hates how people make mistakes. Well, welcome to the fight game. Look, you're not a promoter. We are content creators in the MMA and boxing space. So therefore, whatever mistakes that Turkey El-Sheikh has made or this and that, I mean, that is not predicated on anything other than just logistical reasons, marketing reasons, also other reasons to not overlap other events, which is weird because Friday would have been the perfect event because they would not be overlapping the UFC to any degree. However, we're in this situation right now where, yes, there's a lot of overlap going on. Well, now there's going to be even bigger overlap going on. Now, what is the reason for that? Maybe because they feel it's a better business decision to do it on a Saturday. Maybe because they know that a lot of people are going to be working on a Friday. So therefore, it's going to be harder to make a fight like that. So they want to try to garner as much attention as possible, and yeah, have it in the best location that they can to make that a suitable situation. But that's not the way that boxing ego's mind work. It works in a way where everything has to be, oh, there's a nefarious reason behind this or this and that. And I get that. I understand that you don't want to be a naive person either, but you also don't want to be overly negative to the point where, you know what, you're just not making sense of your assessments on situations.
I hate making mistakes. Therefore, when I make them, like all humans, I really try to learn from him and not make the same mistake. However, this
True that.
ring, Turkey, Riyadh season, right, continues to make the same mistake. Prematurely putting out information and then having to retract, redact, change, switch, move around. It makes you look disorganized and unprofessional. And you would think a fighter.
So this is a guy that shills for the PBC organization, right? You want to talk about what is disorganized and what is just completely out of order? PBC. Can you explain to me why a lot of PBC fighters over the years have remained inactive? Okay, they were not able to get the fights that they needed, and it's the reason why, quite frankly, Errol Spence looked like the way that he did against Terrence Crawford. You want to know why? Because he was not active in the way that Terrence Crawford was, and as a result of that, they didn't give him the right fights for him to get ready for the likes of Terrence Crawford. So, if you want to talk about disorganized, and look, I don't want to make this about Turkey versus PBC or this and that, but there have been a lot of pushbacks on Turkey El-Sheikh, some warranted, some not. But some of it is just predicated on the fact that they want to see their boxing promotion do good versus the other. But that's neither here or there.
Of this magnitude would, or at least the magnitude they say it is, right, would have a bit more TLC to it, right? Like, for example, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd. Did they announce a date and then a week, two later, they say, hey, surprise, it's not that date? Or did they do this with Mayweather McGregor? So for me,
you know what? Of course they didn't do that with Mayweather McGregor. Of course they didn't do that with Mayweather and Pacquiao, because when they sign for a venue, they sign for a venue and they don't want to waste any more money like that. You see, Turkey El-Sheikh has an unlimited amount of money, right? Think of GTA. You ever had that glitch cheat code where you came up on a whole bunch of money in GTA, right? This unlimited amount of funds that you have on the cheat code. That's literally what Turkey El-Sheikh has going on. So if he rented the venue in Allegiant Center in Raiders Stadium, guess what, man? Guess what? He can pull the money back or let them keep the money or this and that. Yeah, James. When they made Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, what Boxing Ego here is saying is that when they made that fight, they were very consistent with the date. They didn't change it or anything. But here's Boxing Ego just complaining about a date 1 day removed. And look, you know what? I get that there's a UFC event on a Saturday, but and now they're moving it from a Friday to a Saturday on the same day as that UFC event. But regardless, boxing is supposed to be on a Saturday anyway. and it's really just a small mishap, a small change. Now, is it disappointing? Yeah, if you're a Vegas resident, let's say if you live in Las Vegas and you were really looking forward to seeing Crawford and Canelo fight on Mexican Independence Day weekend, now you're not going to get that because now the possible cities are New York. The other possibility is also what else? Los Angeles, maybe even Miami, all of that. So Treachery Gamer says, I'm back. Hello. How you doing, my man? Shout outs to you. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for everybody that's in the chat right now. Let's continue on with this subject.
It makes the people look inexperienced in boxing and look like novices. Now,
okay,
in the combat world, things do happen.
Okay, now to be fair, yes, Turkey El-Sheikh is an amateur when it comes to boxing and boxing events, right? I mean, I would say that this is his first year, maybe second year, maybe a little more than that if you want to go back to the Super 6 series that they had in Riyadh. But other than that, yeah, you could say he's pretty inexperienced. Treachery Gamer says, bro, shout out for me, please. Bro, shout out for me, please. You want me to shout you out? Okay, well, shout outs to Treachery Gamers from India. So I hope that helps. All right, so on to Canelo and Crawford right now.
And I understand that. But usually, from what I've seen, when dates change, it's because a fighter was...
You're welcome, my man. And if any of you have any requests to shout out anybody on the chat, let me know on the comment section below. I'll shout out whoever you want. You want me to shout out your mom? You want me to shout out your kids? You want me to shout out your family? You want me to shout out your gang, whatever set you from? You want me to shout out your neighborhood? You want me to shout out your football team? You want me to shout out your Pee-wee football team? Whatever you want, let me know on the comment section below. Let's get it.
Compromise. They got injured or something happened in camp or something. Usually an injury, right? Yeah, you got to reschedule the fight. You can't.
Treachery Gamer says for the free fight, and then he says hi again. Hello. I think you keep pressing that button that says say hi, but yeah, you could press that as many times as you want. It's actually good for the engagement.
Get medical clearance like Errol Spence, you know, and a lot of times, like Errol Spence when he's supposed to fight Manny Pacquiao, they saved the fight, saved the date, and put Ugas in with Pacquiao, who ended up beating Pacquiao. So usually that's...
Yeah, and then that absolutely ruined the Errol Spence fight for Manny Pacquiao. I would have really loved to see Manny Pacquiao take on Errol Spence. Looking back at it in hindsight, after Terrence Crawford spanked the living hell out of Errol Spence, I think Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao would have actually been a 50-50 fight. Why? Because even as good as Errol Spence is, it's not the Errol Spence that busted the eye of Kell Brook that would be in there with Manny Pacquiao. It is a shell version of himself that came from that accident, and Manny Pacquiao was a little bit older, still a little bit older at the time that they were going to set up that fight. So ultimately, yeah, Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence would have been 50-50 at best.
Oh, it works. But now we're putting this fight from a Friday to a Saturday. Now, for me, Saturday is the preferred date, but my thing is this: you should have always put it at Saturday instead of announcing it at Friday. The more you do these things, the worse it looks for you, you know, because it looks like you haven't mapped it out. Furthermore.
All right, now look, let's rewind back what he just said there for a second, just to react to it.
The worse it looks for you, you know, because it looks like you haven't mapped it out. Furthermore, now that you switched it to the Saturday, September 13th, now guess what? You got to compete with college football. So it's very apparent to me.
Okay, can we be honest? Does anybody around the world really care about college football? I get that this is an American event. It's involving an American fighter. It's also involving a Mexican star who's a star in America. But I don't think the fans of Terrence Crawford, combat sports fans, UFC fans, Canelo fans, honestly really care about college football. This is an American thing. And if they do, if they happen to really care, more than likely they're going to put up two screens. Okay, you ever met guys that are fight fans and sports fans at the same time? I've met plenty of them, and Many of them have two screens in their house just to watch both, and that's just what they do. Shout out to Dingleberry. He says hi. Treachery Gamer says, bro, any words for Mike Tyson versus Logan Paul? What? So what? They're gonna fight? They're gonna fight each other? Is that confirmed? Let me know if there's any confirmed date on that, Treachery Gamers. All right, moving on.
That the people, no matter how much money they have, they don't really understand boxing. They don't understand the American market, right? And these things are bleeding through and showing. And it's funny because I'm the only person with a
Okay, so look, he wants to talk about the American market, right? Because his whole concern is that there is college football playing on a Saturday. You know what? UFC is also on Saturday. Okay, UFC is also on Saturday. So yeah, Dingleberry says getting stabbed 14 times and surviving is crazy. Are you talking about Tory Lanez? Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second. There's some juicy story on that. Treachery Gamer says they already had a fight, but Mike lost for money. Yeah, okay, that's true. Tory Lanez. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Tory Lanez because remember, I'm the one content creator that actually talks about what is in their description. Uh, a lot of guys don't really talk about the description or anything like that. They just put the description for the sake of clickbaiting, but never really go on about it. But this is not the channel for that. But okay.
pair of
But don't worry, we will talk about Tory Lanez because I'm very much interested in that story as well.
nuts in this game to call this stuff out. There's a lot of people who sold out their channels, their website.
Shout outs to Treachery Gamers. He says, best content creator. Thank you, my man. I try, I try with a very limited technology that I have. I should try to put a little more technology into it. I am trying a little bit on that end. I'm now trying to add some music here and there into it. But nonetheless, yeah, here we are.
And, certain people could do no wrong now, right? And there's nothing critical. I, on the other hand, am always going to keep it real with what I see. And I put it.
My man says, deserve more subs. Thank you so much, Dingleberry. Just recommend me to all your friends that are into MMA, that are into geopolitics, that are into boxing, and all of the above. Can you try gaming? Treachery Gamers asked me if I can try gaming. You know what? That is something that will be in the option. I will just have to try and figure out how I can connect the screens of what I am playing onto the actual software that I am recording or broadcasting in. So once I do figure that out, maybe I can, just have you guys watch me play GTA while making comments in between. And I'm pretty good at GTA. The setups and the traps that I put on people, I think would really impress a lot of you. And I would love to put that on full display at the world stage. So
put out a video just the other day. You guys can vouch for it if you follow the channel, saying that there's a
Dingleberry asks, who's your favorite UFC fighter ever? I don't really have one. And I'm glad that you asked this. Every time someone asks this is what I always say. If you're a content creator, an MMA YouTuber, or a fighter, or a manager, or somebody that's involved in the fight game to any capacity, I don't think you should have a favorite fighter. Simply because it's going to alter your judgment in whatever it is that you do in the field that you operate in. So that's what I think. Play Valorant. It's free. Okay, yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard some good things about that. I know it's a shooting game, very similar to that of Fortnite. But yeah, that's thank you for that recommendation. But I have heard the Valorant video game before.
Already red flags that this is going to be a circus, this Canelo Crawford fight. And it's the video that you guys can check. Dana White was saying that he hates putting events as stadiums. You know what I mean? So Turkey is giving the right to throw the fight and host the fight to Dana.
So, okay, you know what? I've made a comment about that. I've actually made a video regarding that particular topic at hand, right? Dana White proclaiming that he hates stadium fights. And here comes Boxing Ego making a big deal out of it, making it seem like as if, okay, you know what? He hates stadium fights, but he's still going to do his job. I told you why he hated stadium fights. He hated it because it's not the best atmosphere for mixed martial arts at the time where he was trying to build a fight club feeling for MMA. And that is really the only reason why Dana White said that. Now, look, if he is now in boxing and he is now the promoter and head CEO of TKO boxing promotions, guess what? He's going to comply with what boxing does. And boxing loves to have stadium fights, whether that's in Las Vegas, whether that's in the UK, or whether that's overseas, wherever. They love stadium fights. So he's going to oblige and comply. And not only that, adapt to that particular environment. And Dana White is a savvy businessman. I think he's the type of businessman and the type of hustler that can really adapt himself to any situation. So just because he says he hates stadium fights and it's not the most ideal for him, it doesn't mean that he's not going to do it. Dingleberry says, are you listening to a video or talking to someone? No, I'm listening to a video. Shout out to Boxing Ego from the Bay Area. He's from my area out here in California. I'm in Sacramento. He's up in San Francisco, not too far away, depending on your tolerance of what you consider a long drive. But yeah, Chavez, shout out to Chavez. He says, hi, let me know what part of the world you are at. Chavez, it's customary that when you come into my chat, you let me know where you are from. Let me know where you from, fool. What set you from? What set you claim? No, not all of that. But, whatever part of the world you are from, let me know. I'm very curious to know and see where people are from and how they got to my page. So, yeah, let's keep this entertaining and keep this rolling, but also keeping it informative at the same time. Let's go.
White, who hasn't thrown any boxing matches, on his own, and he's already complaining about not liking the venue. You know what I mean? Now, speaking,
it's really irregardless of the fact whether he likes the venue or not. I think Boxing Ego really needs to get over that. I think what it is just trying to look for a low hanging fruit argument as to say, well, look, this is the reason why Dana White is not fit to be a boxing promoter. But it may not correlate to the same matter at hand.
In a venue, they said Allegiant Stadium. Here's another reason you look unprofessional. You said the Allegiant Stadium, people started buying flights and hotels to go to Vegas because Allegiant Stadium can hold a lot of people. And I'm like, I don't know. We haven't seen a boxing match.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to have to agree with him on that one, right? Now, the one thing that caused a serious inconvenience to this particular cancellation is that, yes, there are going to be a lot of people that are booking flight tickets, that are already reserving hotels in Vegas. And if anybody knows anything about traveling in Vegas, man, booking hotels in Vegas is a nightmare, especially if you do it at a time where there's spring break, where there's summer break, and there's a known vacation or a holiday going on. Good luck. Good luck. And you know what? There was this big event in September, Canelo versus Crawford. People around the world were booking tickets for it. People from Mexico, people from England, people across the United States, you name it. They were going to make an event out of this. And well, now that's going to change because they now are going to do it in a different city. Treachery Gamer says Tong Tong Sahur versus Charat Churula. I don't understand what that means. Treachery Gamer says hi again. Yeah, please keep hitting that hi button and keep the chat going, everybody. And let's keep the engagements high and rolling up in here.
In this particular venue, is state of the art. I'm sure it costs a lot of money, and that's a big venue to fill. You know what I mean? It's like the AT&T Stadium, but the AT&T Stadium has been filled in boxing by stars. Errol Spence, who's from Texas, and Manny Pacquiao when he fought a couple times there, Flotty and Margarito. So you've pretty much lied to the public potentially, and now you're saying that the fight might not be at Allegiant Stadium. It could be in Vegas, LA, New York, or two other secret locations, which is probably Saudi Arabia. So for me,
you know what? I'm going to have to say that I think this is going to be in Saudi Arabia, and it would make a whole lot of sense. Think about this: UFC Mexico, prime time USA time, right? Uh, Saudi boxing. If you're out in the West Coast, you get to watch that at morning time, and then you get to watch UFC at night. So if I'm going to make a bet, and I don't bet because I'm a Muslim man, we don't gamble, but if I'm willing to take a wild guess, an educated guess, I'm probably going to go with Saudi Arabia as a potential venue. Now, is it going to be as big as Allegiant Stadium? No, and that's probably what Dana White might have wanted. And then maybe the suspicion of a boxing ego would be correct on that note, but who knows? Do you know Speed and Kai and Ray? Speed, I Speed, yeah, and Kai Sanat, yes, I know who they are. Yeah, I think they're a little bit too. Yeah, they're a little bit too loose for my take, right? But shout outs to them. They do what they do, and that's great content, right? I think they sort of gave a new wave of black content creators on YouTube as some sort of platform, right? As some sort of like, as to say, like, hey, you know what? I'm African American. I'm the top streamer of the world. You can do it too. That's one thing that I do like about them is that they exemplify that in all different ways. But as far as their content and what they do, and it's not for me. I think I'm getting a little bit older for content like that. But either way, I get and understand why people enjoy it. And then I'm also not with the whole degenerate culture and lifestyle that they're into as well. So that's something to also kind of think about as well. Treachery Gamer says, "Oh, bro, you literally said black streamers." Yeah, I mean, well, what are we supposed to call them? I mean, that's what they are. That's what they're classified as. That's what they identify as. That's what the U.S. consensus identifies them as, and that right there is a focal point of inspiration to many others that look like them. So, yeah, I don't really know what the surprise is with you saying that. Maybe you just come from a country where racial talk is taboo or forbidden. But then again, you're from India. I mean, what? Yeah, yeah, man, you guys are definitely not uh, shy of talking about race to any degree. I mean, you guys have this caste system going on where you got people who are lighter than other people that are somehow superior, and then the darker you are, the inferior you are. All this weird stuff that they got going on, but I mean, it's just not something that we do in the United States, nor is it something that we do in the Muslim world, at least not for the most part. But on any regards, yeah, shout out to Treachery Gamers on that one.
If the fight happens in Saudi Arabia, it's the old bait and switch. So,
Treachery Gamer says, looking black is inspiration. Well, look, you got to understand, right? The dynamic of the African American mentality where they've had years and years of, oppression come onto them. And as a result, I mean, of course, you're going to group up like anybody else. You're going to, become a tribe. They're going to act as a tribe sometimes. And then, yeah, if that brings inspiration to someone that looks like them, that's what it is. It's kind of like you. Maybe you see an Indian streamer or an Indian MMA fighter, and you look at them and say, you know what? That guy is like me. He looks like me. So therefore, I'm going to inspire to be just like him. Maybe I can do it too. Um, Again, not my opinion, not something that I stand by or anything like that, but it is just the reality of the world, my man.
me, this is a Vegas fight. Why are we talking about putting it anywhere else other than Las Vegas, right? And then they came out and said Canelo Crawford kickoff press conference, the very first one, is going to be held in Riyadh in June. I mean, you can't make this up. So when I put out content, you might want to just believe me. I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. This sounds already, like I said days ago, week ago, whatever, I put out that Dana White video. This already sounds like a mess. You have a fighter in Canelo, Mexican fighter, but he made most of his coin fighting in America since age 18 or so, 18, 19. Then you have Crawford, an American from the Midwest. And you allegedly were planning on putting this fight in America. Now, I don't know. but it seems to be this is.
Look, I understand what Boxing Ego is trying to say here, but put it like this in perspective, right? By the way, another hot topic that we're going to talk about later on, Khamzat Chimaev versus DDP. You know where that fight is held? Think about this: a South African white man, and then you got a Chechnyan Muslim who fought and trained and lived out of Sweden. They're fighting in Chicago, Illinois. Does that really matter? Does anybody really care? I mean, there are people out there that are going to say, well, this should have been held in South Africa or this and that. Cool. Good story, bro. But does anybody really care that Kamzat and DDP are fighting in Chicago? No. In fact, aside from the fact that it's a Muslim town, it does make sense to put them in Chicago because they haven't been to Chicago in a while. Okay, even though none of them are Chicago fighters, the UFC hasn't been there in a while, and they want to open up with a bang. And what better bang to open up with than Khamzat Chimaev and DDP as a headline? Treachery Gamer says, "Are you amazed because I got lost?" Oh man, come on, Treachery Gamers, chill with that, bro. Come on, man. All right.
Is an American fight, so it would be dumb, even dumber, if you don't put it in America. But why are you doing the first press conference in Saudi Arabia for an American fight?
They're doing a press conference in Saudi Arabia because, let's be honest, they're the ones that are paying the bills. Now, is it strategically good? Uh, for is it strategically good that that they're putting it in Saudi Arabia? I don't know. I don't know what their reason is. I'll say yes. I'll say that it is because you know what? As much as Saudi Arabia is in the forefront of putting up all the bills for all of these fights, they still don't have a population that is going to 100% comply or become fans. So that's something that you have to take into consideration, right? In fact, as a matter of fact, man, what is the point of going to a press tour in a city where you know that the majority of the people there are going to buy the pay-per-view anyway? But in any regard, Treachery Gamer says it's for my GF. Oh, okay. Oh, you mean that you were talking to them and not me? Is that what you meant? Okay. But on any regard,
again, these moves sound not meticulous and they don't sound thought out. Why are you putting it in that area? Like, why would you put the event in America and you put the press conference in Saudi Arabia?
why is that? Why is that so hard for Boxing Ego to understand? Yes, they're going to hold the fight in America. Yes, they are both American stars. And yes, they're going to do a press conference in Saudi Arabia where a lot of people may not have been tapped into combat sports yet. So why is that hard for Boxing Ego to understand? I could never understand why. But on any regard,
like, so it's like now we're starting to see there's some real conflicts of interest because they keep doing these bait and switches where it looks like they'll have a ruse and say, oh, the fight's going to happen in America. Beware. And then slowly but surely, they're going to start trying to shift all of boxing to Saudi Arabia, which is what I said in the beginning, and to serve Saudi politics, right? Because
all right, that last part that Boxing Ego said, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let him say it. So I'm not going to oppose it. I'm going to just put it like that. I have no opposition to what he's saying whatsoever. Look, every country in the world, here's something you got to understand about every country in the world, okay? They all use sports in order to try and promote their brand. Okay, understand that. That is what they do. They try and promote their brand. But on any regard, let's finish this video off so we can get to Tory Lanez.
Because it doesn't really make sense. If you want to make money in America, you don't do a press tour and start it off in Saudi Arabia. The fight is not going to allegedly be in Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? Why all this game? Then I can keep going. We ain't done enough. The other issue is like, all right, they're doing the press tour in Saudi Arabia. They switched the date. They're switching the city or location potentially, and they lied about the Allegiant Stadium if they in fact do switch and put it in a different location. Fine, whatever. Let's keep moving on. But the other issue is they're talking about a re-live pay-per-view when a lot of people were reporting that Netflix was interested. So to me, this is just a bad look because it looks like Netflix said, get this stepping. Netflix, I'll probably make a separate video if you want me to make the video about Netflix. Just type Netflix in the comment section. But this just seems to be a mess already. Let me know what you guys think. Get it.
All right, so there it is. That's boxing ego in a nutshell. All right, let's get to the Tory Lanez situation right here. Okay, shout out to Compton Rick Rock TV. This is the guy who I'm going to react the channel to. The title is "The Reason Mexicans Tried to Kill Tory Lanez in Prison Yesterday." And by the way, this guy that is the subject matter at hand that tried to stab Tory Lanez, he's allegedly a child pedo nunce molester. Okay, and that's crazy. That's crazy work, man. You know, because I don't know who sent him, and if that's the case, I don't know what gang would somehow what do you call it? Uh, Give this guy a stamp of approval to any kind. But on any regard, shout out to Compton Rick Rock. Here's some content from him regarding this particular incident. Shout out to Compton Rick Rock, by the way. He's one of my favorite. He's now one of my favorite hood MMA channels. So, you know, if you are looking for some hood content, California gang politics or anything like that, go to Compton Rick Rock. Very well respected man in his community. Shout out to him, and also a great YouTuber, an upcoming YouTuber at that. So shout out to him and all his success. Here we go.
Poetic Flacco's page, and the title, it is The Real Reason Why Mexicans Trying to Unalive Tory Lanez. This was yesterday in Tehachapi State Prison. He got the intel from Spider Loc. Y'all can go to Spider Loc's page as well and find this same clipping. Spider Loc happened to have some intel inside the prison where he found out exactly what happened yesterday at Tehachapi State Prison. I covered it.
Shout out to Spider Loc. For those of you that don't know Spider Loc, he's an LA Crip member that used to be a part of G Unit from back in the days. He was, how do I say this, the most underrated G Unit member, if that makes any sense.
But didn't have the full details, so we coming back on this content right here to let y'all know what really happened. Now, for him to get attacked by another race, man, I know exactly what happened because I was there. So this is the only thing that I could think, man. Disrespect is one. And like I already broke.
So right now, Compton Rick Rock is breaking down the possibilities of what got Tory Lanez stabbed by this Mexican Southsider. But on any regard, here we go.
Down all the other scenarios, but by Tory Lanez being the asset, by him being the bag, he's definitely gonna be the target, and that's just how it go, man. When you the money maker, get the money maker out the way, the rest gonna fall to the bayside, and that's what it seemed like to me, man. It seemed like that's a strategic move to knock down the money maker, the playmaker that's on the yard with the blacks. Let's go.
An incident involving Tory Lanez earlier today has started a race war in his Los Angeles prison. And we're going to explain everything. We got the entire detail. TMZ reported earlier today, a rep for the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation confirms that Tory Lanez was attacked by another prisoner in a housing unit at California Correctional Institute in Tehachapi. Hey, bro, that's a name I never heard.
Tehachapi State Prison.
All right, Tehachapi, yeah, a very Native American name at that, but yeah.
Around 7:30 this morning.
Before, bro. It's probably a good thing I never heard it. Around 7:20 in the morning, prison staff dashed to the scene and began administering first aid to Tory after calling 911. Tory was then rushed to a hospital off prison grounds to receive more treatment. The CDCR spokesperson did not disclose Tory's current condition. They was plotting on that boy and wanted Tory badly, bro. 7 a.m. in the morning, this when you getting out yourself for breakfast. So to poke this man up
at 7:30 in the morning, that's the perfect time to get somebody if you're gonna shake them. Because
and you know what? Not only that, 7:30 or 7 a.m. in the morning is also the best time to wake up and stream also, and that is why I'm here with you guys. So not only is it a good time to shake somebody up in prison, but it's also a good time to live stream as well on top of that. So
let's just say if your cell is, let's just say if you stuck between the cell either with another race by the time they get to your homies, when they crack them doors, they could get you and can't nobody else get out because the prison guards didn't open all the gates up. So that's how you do that. And especially if he in the second cell, and let's just say the first cell got a hitter up in there, they didn't already told him. As soon as they cracked them first few doors, get cracking. That's probably why it was a 3-on-3 like they said it was. Probably didn't get a chance to open all them gates up.
Before you even had a full meal, before you done filled your belly up, doing this first thing in the morning shows, bro, this was on your mind all night.
Look, so here's the thing, right? Art of War Sun Tzu always mentions, listen, you know what? Attack your enemy when they want to sleep, and attack them when you are already awake, or something to that extent. You guys have read the Art of War. You know what I'm talking about. It's perfect timing, and the man did exactly what he needed to do.
All night.
All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna skip around this a little bit. We sort of got the gist of the story, right? He was stabbed by somebody. The reason being maybe disrespect or this and that, being that he is the money maker for the black card in prison. But on any regard, yeah, let's just skip around this a little bit. You guys can watch this on Compton Rick Rock's Compton Rick Rock TV on YouTube. So
I was told
let's skip around a little bit.
You know, they airlifted them and all that, so you know, that's gonna respond when we come off this shit, we're gonna respond the right way to that.
They laid the yard down?
Man.
Okay, so this is Spider Loc talking to somebody in prison when this happened.
Man, I don't think they're gonna be able to respond, because when something happen like this, they'll flip the whole yard. They get everybody off the yard, bring a whole new crew in. But anybody that's left on the yard is definitely gonna go down. That's just how prison politics.
Okay, so a little explanation on prison politics here. Again, I'm skipping around this one right here. I'm going to play his second video as well.
Wasn't nobody right there with you? Wasn't nobody right there with you?
Yeah, I guess nobody wasn't. He was by himself out there. He got a whole tier to the next. He on the whole tier to the next. Wow. You already know, once we get on this shit, we put some player on first play.
I'm already knowing. God damn. You don't know if he's gonna be all right or not either.
We don't know yet. He gonna be all right, he gonna pull it through though.
Peep the word in here. Foul play. When we get him out of here, because right now the prison is shut down, is a lockdown currently going on. But after that lockdown is up. But peep the word.
I'm trying to figure out, why was he on it?
So in other words, they got a lockdown going on right now, and when that lockdown is done, guess what's going to happen? It's going to start on and cracking. Okay, on to the next video with Compton Rick Rock, same guy. But this time they talk about the guy who allegedly did it. So let's get to that right now, okay?
So that he also spoke with some people.
So now this is Compton Rick Rock reacting to Dubs. By the way, a guy who I've reacted to plenty of times. I've even reacted to his Ryan Garcia video. If you guys want to check it out, where Ryan Garcia dropped the N-bomb.
React to their stuff, but I don't know how they would respond to me reacting. So I'm just gonna talk about it. You guys go check out Compton Rick Rock's video or Poetic Flacco's video, or both of them.
In a future reference, you can use my videos. There's no problem. I don't trip off. When somebody use my video and say my name, that works in favor of my channel. Ain't nobody got to worry about me.
Hey, and shout out to Compton Rick Rock. You got it, my man. I'm definitely using your content right here because your content is hot, and I think you're one of the best in the YouTube game right now. So I don't mind using your content at all, and I've already used 2 of your videos right now in one stream. So here we go.
Doing nothing crazy. It's all good. Anybody want to use my content, use it. It's all good because that helps the channel. It's all good.
Anyone who has been to prison in California will be scratching their head the majority of the time at both videos. So the phone call between Spider Loc and the other dude, it said that the Mexicans hit Tory Lanez, right? And when Spider Loc asked him, where was everybody at? He said, well, he's on a tier with nothing but Mexicans. That's strange.
Correct. When I heard that, I said the same thing. I said, how's he on a tier with nothing but Mexicans? Where's the brothers at? Where's everybody else at? How is it that he's on a tier by himself with nothing but Mexicans? They didn't explain that on the phone call that Spider had. I don't know who he was talking to, but at the same time, a lot of that information.
So that picture that I showed you right now, that's the guy that allegedly stabbed Tory Lanez, the Mexican fella that stabbed Tory Lanez. So
shouldn't have really been. It wasn't for social media. If that's prison stuff, that's prison stuff. Let them dudes up in there handle it how they handle it. Giving up game on one part of the video, the dude said, when we get off of this, it's gonna go up. I think that should have been kept. That should have been kept on the low if that's what's gonna happen up in there. But let's get back to what Dove's talking about.
That's very strange. That doesn't sound like a GPR. I'm just saying, for him to be, and he didn't have a cellie? Like, where was he going? How was he out of the cell? I don't know. 7 a.m. is usually like work release around that time, school release.
Yeah.
And there was no other blacks around, only Mexicans. And
so in other words, what they're trying to hint at is a possible setup.
According to Poetic Flaco, Tory Lanez runs that yard.
And it's because Tory Lanez has so much money and he's putting a bag on people if people get out of line with them. How are you making videos about him?
By one person then? Like, we got to use common sense. Common sense ain't all that common, man.
Yeah, man. If he's putting the bag on people and he got the bread like that and he's making things happen, orchestrating everything, why wouldn't he have a bag with a security crew around him? Why he wouldn't have a team with him? Usually when somebody with that type of status, when they come out the cell, one of the homies is going to his cell when he come out. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, when I was up in there, when ain't no just pulling my door open. I come out a little laundry bag, you know what I'm saying? Rubber band, stick it between the door, one at the bottom, one at the top, so you couldn't just pull my door open. So one of the homies for sure coming to the cell, or I'm going to one of the homie cells. Period. Ain't no slipping like that. And then something.
Yeah, so in other words, what they're talking about is just some security issues dealing with Tory Lanez, right? Let me play this video by Dubs real quick, just to kind of give you guys a bit of some perspective here.
So, the full community has just posted the picture of Santino Cassio, a 42-year-old inmate within the California Department of Corrections, who is allegedly the one that was busted for assaulting and stabbing rapper Tory Lanez. So there goes, the question has been answered, what nationality he is. But the why, nobody knows yet. And looking at the pictures of this guy, I don't see any identifying tattoos. But as I've been saying today, everything will come out. What's cracking, everybody? So the full community has just posted the picture of Santino Cassio.
All right, so I want to read this article in the BBC, okay? So Cassio has arrived in Tehachapi institution in Los Angeles County in February 2004. He was sentenced to life. Okay, so he's a lifer with the possibility of parole for second-degree murder, first-degree attempted murder, personal use of a dangerous or deadly weapon, and inflict great bodily injury, said the statesman of the Corrections of Rehabilitation. Cassio has been added to the criminal record during his incarceration, the statement added. In 2008, he was sentenced to 6 years for assaulting a fellow prisoner with a deadly weapon. 2018, he was sentenced another 2 years for a possession of a deadly weapon. Cassio allegedly attacked Tory Lanez with wounds across his body, causing both his lungs to collapse, according to a post on the rapper's Instagram account. He was stabbed in the back, the torso, the head, the face, and had to temporarily be placed on a breathing apparatus. And this is according to his Instagram. Despite being in pain, he is talking normally in good spirits and deeply thankful to God that he is pulling through, he said. Lanez was sentenced in 2023 for 3 felony gun charges, including he shot Megan Stallion, whose legal name is Megan Pete, as they were leaving at a pool party. Okay, all right, so that's the reason why. Stickman Com says, "Hello, Barbs. How you doing?" I don't know what Barbs mean. Is that some kind of reference to something or what? But let me know what that means, my man. Shout outs to my man Stickman right here. So let's find out more information on this guy Cassio, right? Because we're gonna get to the fights in a second. Cassio, Stabber. New information emerges about this guy. Let's see here. So, May 13th, new information has emerged about the inmate accused of stabbing a convicted murderer in 2004. Attack took place in the 12th inside California. Okay, what's more is that Casino's violent history behind bars record shows this isn't the first time involving incident deadly weapons while incarcerated. Cassio was placed in restricted housing as prisoners investigate. Service units of Kern County District also launch a full investigation. So let's see here. People are. Uh, I just want to call you Barbs. That's it. Okay, I don't know what that means or this and that. I was just wondering. Um, he hit the man. He was coming home. He hit the man. He wasn't coming home anyway. So, okay. So, being that this guy is a lifer, there's a chance that people paid him on the low to be like, hey, you know what? This is what we got going on. This is what I want you to do. And he has nothing to lose anyway, right? So, if you got nothing to lose, I mean, this is the perfect guy for you to go and send out. You know what I mean? So, Felix Guzman Martinez says, you smoke Kush or Hindu? Um, neither, neither. But yeah, we got some good ones out in Cali, though. Shout out to Felix Guzman Martinez. Let me know what part of the world you are from. Let's see here. So, what else can we find about Tory Lanez stabbing suspects, rap sheets, murder? Uh, include. Let's see here. What else? Okay, so was he a was he a pedophile? Because if he wasn't, then I may have to change this thing because someone told me that he was a pedophile, but then again, we don't know if that's true or not. Okay, okay, yeah, I'm on that Kush from San Francisco. All right, man. So you're neighbors with me, pretty much. Okay, so yeah, you're pretty much neighbors with me, man. Shout out to everybody in San Francisco up in here. All right, so okay, let's continue on with this video. Maybe they have a little
Some of the
something more.
homies are waiting at the rotunda for you, the little hall where y'all walk out the building. Homies is waiting up. Ain't nobody slipping and just walking by themselves without no salam on.
And but so so we're to believe that Tory Lanez, whose net worth is $1 million, by the way. If you look it up, I'll put it up. His net worth is worth $1 million, and people in prison are jealous of him because he has money? Huh? So let's look at it from two angles.
Well, that could be a possibility.
Let's say he's on a GP yard. Okay, we'll start there. Let's say he's on a GP yard. On a GP yard, the Mexicans are under an umbrella and are not allowed to just go off on their own and do something because...
Heck yeah, Felix. Shout out to everybody in the Bay Area, everybody in Sacramento, everybody in LA, Fresno. It's Cali up in here right now, man. Shout out to you on that.
Are other people making money? And when you go on lockdown, lockdowns affect money. It affects those people's ability to make money, correct, do their thing, whatever their hustle is. So you mean to tell me that something was decided and it was because...
You got a point there. A lot of people, do handle their business. I can't tell y'all everything or how they get their money up in there. That if y'all don't know, if you've never been there, you don't need to know. It ain't for the internet. But a lot of people do get their grind on and hustle on up in there. And you got to think, what time was this? Was it first draw? Was it second draw? Or was it third draw? You already know. I used to pay attention to stuff like that, man. I see everybody going to the store, everybody stacking up on that canteen. I used to watch stuff. So at the third draw, that's mainly when it's gonna go down. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody that went to the store, they got their packages out the way. After that third draw, that's when 9 times out of 10 it's gonna go down. And like he said, they don't just make no move. Can't nobody up in there just make no move unless it's just spare the moment. But just doing stuff on your own without letting your people know, your homies know, then you definitely don't get toe up for that.
Because the guy has money. So people are gonna send people to hit someone and stop their own money because somebody else has money. Doesn't work that way. If anything, you'd be wanting to sell weed to that dude. Stay away from like the hard drugs. You'd want them. I'll tell you, one of Snoop Dogg's homies, Reese Cup, the dude bought a lot of weed off me. You find dudes that hey, I can interact with this dude and it won't be a problem. And you make your money. So how is it that he's on a GP yard and one Mexican by himself moves on him? Because he has money. That part makes no sense. Now,
well, it kind of makes sense to me. It kind of makes sense to me. If we know that it's about to get cracking, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go after the shot caller, the main one. You go for the top. You get the top dude, and if Tory Lanez is putting the bag on people here, if he's running that yard like they say, then why wouldn't he be a target?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. Tory Lanez is definitely going to retaliate out of this, and he is going to come after uh, the guys that did this, right? He's absolutely going to pay people in the black card in prison to do. I mean, well, allegedly, I'm not going to put it out there, but I tell you what, if that was me in that situation, that's exactly what I would do, especially if I had the money to do it. Why not? Who in here wants to change their life or change their family's life on the outside? Let me know. Oh, okay. Inside the squared circle with King Judah. Shout out to you and the Israelites, my brother. Of course, they canceled it. Canelo was about to be destroyed by a black fighter. They can't have that. Oh no, it's not completely. It's not going to be completely canceled, my man. They just canceled it one day. They were going to do it on a Friday, and then they decided they're going to do it on a Saturday because there's also a UFC card on a Saturday, which is Mexican Independence Day traditional card that they do every year, which is going to take place in Guadalajara. By the way, the same area where Canelo is from. So, yeah, I think they should have just kept it on a Friday. It would have been a great week, right? UFC Saturday, and then Friday, Terrence Crawford and Canelo on a Friday. They should have just kept it at that. But I don't know, maybe they wanted to do something different. Maybe it was Dana White that sort of did something to that effect of sort of changing the venue. But then again, you never know. But we'll see.
It doesn't necessarily. Let's take the money part of it. Take the money out of it. He's an asset to the people. Why wouldn't you go after the shot caller? Why wouldn't you go after the top dog first? That's just how I go up in there. Get him. He the one. Everybody know that one person in jail they gonna get if it go down. And if Tory Lanez just so happened to be that one guy, because I don't understand how the hell is his ass even running the yard. How the hell is an R&B singer, goddamn rapper, running the yard? Money. Y'all know that people will sell their soul for a jelly roll. So I don't put nothing past it. I ain't been in jail since.
Well, look, that's really what it is. Look, here's something you got to understand, right? In Mexican gangs, you could be a famous rapper in a Mexican gang, but you would still have to listen to a guy that lives in a trailer park or lives in a hood, right? You could be a millionaire rapper in a Mexican gang, but you would have to listen to a guy that lives in a barrio, lives in a hood, lives in a trailer park. When you're in a black gang, the guy who has the most money is usually the shot caller. And there's really no real shot callers in black gangs because it's a little bit less decompartmentalized in the way that they operate. But ultimately, the guy who has the most money has the most influence in what goes and what he says goes in certain particular matters. That's just the reality of the situation at hand.
Is what, 2013? I don't know what the hell they're up in there doing now, but there's no way Tory Lanez would have came to any yard that we was on and ran shit.
Put him on an SY or a 50-50 yard. It makes sense that one dude moved by himself and there weren't really any blacks around him. Okay? In the video, Poetic Flaco said that.
Now, look, I don't know nothing. I just speak out of speculation. This is not my business to speak, but it is entertainment by the end of the day. So I'm going to entertain possibilities. I think there's a few black homies in there that set up Tory Lanez because maybe he disrespected somebody and they decided, you know what? Let's make a cover up on this by using a Mexican to go stab him up, and it will never come through to us. Look, I'm going to tell you this, right? It's not far fetched for one group of people, one race of gangs, to use another race of gangs to attack somebody that doesn't make it look like it came from them, particularly using a different race of people. Just saying, right? Whack 100 proclaimed that the reason why Pop Smoke got hit was because he stole a car from the Armenians, right? He rented a car from one of the Armenians. He decided to take it and then ship it back to New York. And guess what? Allegedly, they used the Hoover Crips to go after Pop Smoke, and Pop Smoke he went. So
For Christmas, Tory Lanez made sure everyone went to canteen, all the blacks.
He got to. He got to do that.
Every yard I was on, the blacks, there was hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds. But let's go ahead and play along with the narrative. So he made sure that all of the blacks went to canteen. And Rick Rock said that he would have stood out as an asset and been targeted. Suge Knight, when he was incarcerated, had way more money than Tory Lanez and was buying people TVs and other stuff, and nobody ever thought, hey, let's whack that dude, right?
yeah, that's a good point, right? You know, why would you whack somebody that is buying you stuff, right? Once he gets whacked, guess what? You know, all that money and all that privilege is gone. So maybe he's right. Maybe he's onto something here. But let's hear the response.
But again,
you got to think about it. When Suge Knight was up in there, that was a totally different era when Suge Knight was up in there. Now they on Spice. I'm seeing videos with dudes. I've never seen nobody in prison. And Dubs, you gonna trip off this one when I say I never seen nobody running on them air vents up there. I never seen nobody climbing them walls, jumping up to the next tier. I never seen none of that when I was in jail. They on a different type of drug up in there. We don't know what them dudes doing. It don't matter what race they is, man. Them dudes is getting high on something that y'all know the drugs that was in there when we was up in there, and none of them drugs makes you do any of that. This new shit they got, yeah, they climbing on air vents and shit, all up there by the gun tower.
If he's buying stuff for his people.
Wow. Okay, that's a crazy contrasting of eras right there that Compton Rick Rock was describing.
That's nobody else's business but his and his people. I talked about in Pelican Bay, prior to the riot, there was this humongous black dude there. He was from the Bay Area. Super duper baller. Not one Mexican gave a fuck about that. But when he was raping his young black Sally, everybody was lining up. When that riot was gearing up.
Now that's what's going to happen to Loose Cannon. He's not going to get shaped. Loose Cannon ain't got to worry about him and his girl over there running content, talking about what's going to happen.
Oh, man, of course. Of course, Compton Rick Rock is going to bring this up and bring up Loose Cannon. He has to. That's his op. So he has to bring him up in some kind of way. And, yeah.
He going to get shaped. No, he going to go up in that cell with that guy.
Everybody was like, I want that dude for what he did, for what he's doing. Nobody cared about his money. During the lockdown, the Bay Area dude was talking bad to all the LA dudes, talking about you guys are all broke, gangbangers, don't got shit, because he was in a cell by himself at that point. Cell soldier. And we're all locked down. And he was saying he could put a full draw on every one of them's books and not even feel it. Oh, he was a J-Cat. Not one Mexican gave a damn. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. I don't think people understand with the Mexicans. There's protocols with everybody. I don't see any way.
Irish Boy says, "Hi, I missed you, bro. Remember me?" Of course, man. Shout out to Irish Boy right here, man. We're just reacting to the stabbing of Tory Lanez right now and also talking about some UFC fights. How are you doing, bro? I'm doing great today, man. Having a nice, beautiful coffee with great people like you, live streaming around the world. How can life, be bad, right? Life is great and beautiful. I don't know who she is who was stabbed. Oh no, it's not a she, it's a he. It's a rapper. He's a Canadian rapper who got locked up in California by a Mexican gang member who was doing life. So yeah, a whole lot of interesting story at that, right? Just some local California stuff that we're getting into. We're gonna continue on with this in just a second. I'm gonna play this video for you guys in audio regarding all the fights that have been made yesterday. So I'm going to play this while I handle something real quick. I will be right back.
All right. I just got done doing a live stream regarding Dana White's announcements, and this video right here is going.
He said, "Your accent is cool." Thank you, brother. I'm sure you got a pretty cool accent yourself as well. I'll be right back. I'm going to play this audio for a second. I will be right back in less than 2 minutes, okay?
To break down UFC 319 Shabayev versus DDP, which is going to take place in Chicago, Illinois, UFC 219. The other fight that doesn't have a venue, doesn't have a date, but has a confirmed matchup is JDM versus Islam Makhachev and UFC 317. The main headline, along with other headlines that I mentioned, such as Dariush versus Moicano, and then the other one, Brandon Royval versus Manel Cap, and then the other one, the co-main event between Kai Asakara taking on Pantoja, and that is all in UFC 317. Now, I'm very surprised that they decided to strip Islam Makhachev. And you know what? I'm hearing a lot of rumbles with many people online that are complaining that we're not going to get to see Ilia Topuria taking on Islam Makhachev. That is the focal point online right now and the argument that many people are making. They don't like the JDM fight because, let's be honest, we didn't think JDM would be up here, let alone be a champion. But guess what? Like I said, right now, JDM is playing the role of Eddie Alvarez in 2016 when Conor McGregor won the double championship. Except this time, we're not going to have a double championship. And again, I've gone into multiple reasons and many different subjects as to why they have decided to take this particular route. And if you want to check that out, I urge you to take a look at my live stream. Dana White announces on one of my latest live streams just right before this video. Okay, just right before this video, when this video is about to be released. I talk about in great details why they don't want a double championship anymore. And one of the main reasons why they don't want a double championship, well, I'm going to just briefly talk about it here and then talk about these fights. They don't want a double championship because it's going to be very difficult for them to control another Conor McGregor. And it's not to say that Islam Makhachev will cause them any strife in that kind of matter, but they will cause him the strife when it comes to the negotiating room, where ultimately, when it comes to business, that's where it all matters. So, with this in mind, we got Islam Makhachev taking on JDM for the 170-pound strap. And that's going to be for the undisputed 170-pound strap.
but Islam was stripped of the title. So now it is Ilia Topuria that is taking on Charles Oliveira for the championship. Oh, so I'm here ordering In-N-Out. If you guys have ever been to In-N-Out Burgers before, it's one of the most famous California burgers they have out here. So that's what we're about to embark on. Okay, so going back to the subject matter at hand, are a lot of people disappointed that it is Ilia Topuria fighting Charles Oliveira instead of Islam? Yes. But you have to understand these two men have ambitions that are far beyond each other, that are far beyond the beef that they got going on. And speaking of beef, excuse me for a second, I'm about to order something. Hey, how you doing, my man? Good. 2 plain cheeseburgers. 2 cheeseburgers. And then 2 double protein style burgers. All right. Onions on those? Yes. All right. And then also 6 fries. 6 fries, right? Yeah. And that's it. All right. And sugar drinks there? No, that'll be all. And would that be from the car? To go. To go? All right. So I have 2 cheeseburgers, please. So only the cheese on that. 2 double with onions, protein style, and then 6 fries to go. Awesome. All right. And that'll be 38.24. Thank you, brother. Hey, you'll be featured on my YouTube. It's Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA. I do MMA content. So, you know, if you want to check it out, you'll be right on there. All right, thank you, brother. Have a good one. You as well. All right. So, going back to Islam Makhachev and for Ilia Topuria, right? A lot of people are disappointed this fight is not happening. And I totally get it. I totally understand. But you know what? It doesn't mean that this fight won't happen. There's going to be several scenarios. The first scenario I drawn up was, all right, you know what? This is going to be for the interim belt. Let Islam hold on to the belt, okay, as the undisputed champion, and then let Ilia Topuria fight for the interim belt. Because let's be honest, the Charles Oliveira fight is nothing more than glorified undisputed championship belt. I'm sorry, glorified number 1 contender for the undisputed championship belt. Instead, they made it vacant, and now they're going to make it the undisputed championship belt. Okay? That's what I thought. Islam wins, Ilia wins, they can meet each other at 155. Well, now the tables have turned. Ilia can actually go for all the undisputed championship belts and potentially be the first guy to win all 3 belts at 170. With Islam as a champion, given if Islam does beat JDM, which I think he will. But that's my official prediction for now. Now, John Jones and Tom Aspinall. Also another fight that is yet to be mentioned in this particular category. Why? Well, they're either going to do it in the summertime or past the summertime. But either way, these are the cards that we have right now. Exciting times for the UFC. You got Islam Makhachev. Either way, taking on we have right now. Exciting times for at a later date. John Jones versus Tom Aspinall on a later date to be announced. Kamzat versus Shemaev already signed for Chicago. And then you got Ilia Topuria taking on Charles Oliveira for the undisputed championship belt. Set to take place at UFC 317 with a co-main event as Pantoja versus Kai Kara France, along with Manel Kape versus Brandon Royval, and then you got Moicano, Money Moicano, the man who's been in there with Islam Makhachev, the man who's been in there with RDA, some of the best guys in the world, now taking on Beneil Dariush, who's also been in there with some of the best guys in the world. You know what we got here? A 50-50 fight in that situation. But on any regard, these are the announcements for the fights. I'm very excited for it. I'm very excited for the In-N-Out burgers as well. I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. So, guys, this is me live right now. You guys have now tapped into the bonus stream. Now, what I usually like to do is in the first hour of my live streams, I talk about the topics at hand that we talked about, right? So let's recap all the topics that we just talked about. Canelo versus Crawford, canceled. Is it canceled completely? Not so fast. Not really. It's only one day that they are taking away. They were going to do it on a Friday, September the 12th. Now they're doing it on the 13th, which I don't know how that's going to correlate with, let's say, the UFC, because the UFC is on that same day. So I reacted to Boxing Ego, his take on the matter. We have differences of opinions on this matter, but I sort of addressed that. The hot events that are coming in the UFC, I just talked about it in a recent video that I have. Please check out the full entirety of that video on my channel. It is called Islam Makhachev Vacates. It's the first video that is up on the latest video that is up on my channel right now. Please run up the views on that one. You will get to see me drive around the In-N-Out Burger area, which, by the way, is a famous burger area in California. Only in California. I don't think they have In-N-Out anywhere else in the world. But on any regard, yeah, check out that video. Also, the other topic that we talked about today is Tory Lanez. Now, we just found out some new information regarding the person that stabbed Tory Lanez. It is somebody by the name of Santino Cassio, which I believe is a Mexican Southsider affiliate of some sort, right? But on any regard, we talked about that subject. We talked about the circumstances and some of the possible reasons. Again, there's a lot of information that is yet to come out yet on that particular topic. And when it does, we'll probably cover it and get more information on the story as the days go on. But on any regard, those are the topics that we talked about. So now, what we are on right now, if you want to hear more, if you want to hear more about those particular topics, yeah, please don't forget to rewind back this live stream. You are more than welcome to rewind back this live stream and check out all the topics and all the reactions that I did. We did a reaction towards Compton Rick Rock's channel. We did a reaction to Dubs' channel. All these guys that are very big in the hip hop, urban / prison / gang genre of YouTube. So we did a reaction, all that. So now, what are we going to do in the bonus stream of this live stream? Because I told you guys in the first hour, I knock it off right away when it comes to the topics at hand that we are talking about. But once all of that is done, like I said, one of the things that I love about mixed martial arts and martial arts in general is that martial arts is a vehicle to enhance your body's improvement and also to enhance all the struggles that you have going on as sort of making it easier. Like, for example, you have a hard day of training, sparring or rolling or anything that deals with martial arts, right? What happens? The next day or the next hour, it feels as if everything that you do is a whole lot easier. Everything is a whole lot easier. Okay? Everything is not as difficult. Everything is, how do I say this? Yeah, everything seems a lot easier. The harder you do something, the easier everything else virtually becomes. Okay? So that is what I like to talk about in my bonus streams, right? Just life in general, right? Just life lessons in general. That's what I like to talk about. Now, why do I like to talk about life lessons in general? Well, because, like, again, I said, martial arts is the best vehicle to problem solve all your life's difficulties. Let me say that again if I didn't articulate it correctly the first time. Martial arts is the best vehicle to enhance your tolerance towards difficulty. Okay, so yeah, so we're just going to do audio version right now with the bonus stream. Obviously, just did about 1 hour. I did about 1 hour and 20 minutes of that live stream. So yeah, we're going to do a little bonus live stream right now. Okay, so all right, doing a little bonus live stream for you guys right now. So okay,
So, what are we going to talk about in this bonus live stream? Now, usually, what we talk about are just life lessons. Okay, that's one of the things that I love to emphasize here is life lessons, right? So, what can we draw from the life lessons of the stories that we covered today? Tory Lanez, somebody who was a famous R&B singer or a famous rapper, not R&B. I don't know why I call him an R&B singer. He did a freestyle with what's his name, with Aiden Ross in his live stream. He did a freestyle in Aiden Ross's live stream. So uh, here's something that I think people need to understand, right? Look, sometimes nobody is bigger than the program, and that is something that we have to understand, something that we can, very much understand from a mixed martial arts perspective. It's something that we can also understand from a life lesson perspective, right? Nobody is bigger than the program. What are some examples that we can draw from when we proclaim that nobody is bigger than the program? Okay, well, let's take a look at what happened with Islam Makhachev, right? What happened with Islam Makhachev? Islam Makhachev wanted to become the double champion. You know what the UFC said to him? Not so fast. We're not going to make you the double champion. We want you to vacate. Just like Ilya Tapora, we made him vacate. You should vacate. Why did they do that? Well, let's go back to the last double champion. I believe it was, well, Daniel Cormier, but the first one, and really the most prominent one, is Conor McGregor. What happened when he became a double champion? It was as if like it was a curse, right? He became a double champion. He became a nuisance to the company. He became a nuisance to the UFC, the organization. And lo and behold, it was a problem. It was a problem. They couldn't lock him down for fights. They couldn't stop giving him special treatments, which, by the way, got to the point where many fighters are like, well, what are you doing? You're giving this guy special treatment. And then how about this? Do you guys remember when Chris Weidman got his leg broken uh, by Uriah Hall? You guys remember that fight, right? It was a Uriah Hall Chris Weidman rematch. Got his leg busted up. After he got his leg busted up, he couldn't take the same supplements that Conor McGregor took. Now, why is that? What is the reason behind that? I mean, it's quite simple. It's special treatment. Conor McGregor took special treatment that other people are not allowed to have. Now, look, the UFC did not have any problems doing it. They had no problems going about doing that and conducting business in that kind of way. But eventually, it became very problematic. Okay, it became very problematic that now you have Conor McGregor, who is a double champion, calling roughshod on everything. So if you're wondering why they don't want these double championships situation going on, it's not because they're holding up the division. Do you honestly think the UFC cares that they are holding up divisions? Do you think, have they ever cared? They're going to have people fight. They're going to have people fight for interim belts if they deserve it enough to where they should have been fighting for the undisputed championship. Did you not forget about Tony Ferguson? So once again, what is the important lesson that we can learn here from the bonus stream life lessons beyond mixed martial arts? By the way, that's what I'm going to probably call this segment. I'm going to call this segment life lessons beyond mixed martial arts. Okay. And so what did we have here? We got some comments here. Mr. Burberry says Islam should fight Ilya before going up. Well, here's the thing, right? The reason why that's problematic, uh, Mr. Burberry, is because nobody is bigger than the program. Okay, I think that's what should have happened, but I think I think they need Ilya and Islam to stay away from each other. That's what I think. I think they want Islam and Ilya Tapora to stay away from each other. You want to know why? For the same reason that Anderson Silva stayed away from John Jones. Do you remember that was an actual fight that people had in the back of their minds back in the day? Where are all my old school MMA heads at right here? Let me know where you guys are at. Show your age by showing that you remember when Anderson Silva was on the verge of fighting uh, John Jones, or at least they were talking about it. Even GSP, they were talking about GSP fighting Anderson Silva. Why these things never happened? Well, I'll tell you why, man. Because they need them to be away from each other. Can you imagine what would happen if, for whatever reason, GSP toppled Anderson Silva? What would have that done to the organization? Now, can you imagine if John Jones beat the living hell out of Anderson Silva? And I think at this point it wouldn't matter. He would have eventually ran across Chris Weidman and lost his title and snapped his reign. That eventually was going to happen at some point, right? But that is a reason why they didn't want to do it, is because they did not want to ruin what they had going on. They were making a whole lot of money with GSP as the defending champion. They were making a whole lot of money with Anderson Silva as the defending champion, and they were making a whole lot of money with John Jones as the undisputed champion, and still is till this day, from 205 now all the way to 265. So that's what it is. Mr. Burberry here says Ilya is going to have a hard time with Oliveira, let alone Islam. Yeah, man, it's a very 50-50 fight. Now, I know that Ilya Tapora has the pretty record. He's got a good looking record. He's got all the hype behind him right now. None of it matters. I'm going to be honest with you. None of it matters, because even though Charles has had a few losses in his career, I mean, a few losses, that's a bit of an understatement, isn't it? Right? Talking about the guy has a few losses. How about he's had a lot of losses over the years? Okay, I mean, yeah, a lot of losses over the years this guy has had. But on any regard, he's a dangerous fighter. Charles Oliveira can choke you at any given moment. He can knock you out too at any given moment. Let's not forget the guy is a proficient striker. But on any regard, guys, this is all that I have for you guys right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Chattiest Gamers says, yeah, but can he dodge a bullet? No, he cannot. I think you're talking about Charles. Ilya couldn't beat Patty on a good day. I don't understand the hype on Ilya. I agree. I don't really understand all the hype with Ilya as well, but he is a knockout artist. The guy has decent ground game, and as a result of that, yeah, he is going to be a very dangerous outing for virtually just about anybody. So that's the reality of that situation. But yeah, man, that's the life lesson that I think I want everybody to understand before I sign off. Right? Is that nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, is bigger than the program. Right? There are certain exceptions, and Conor McGregor at some point was that exception to the rule, but eventually they start seeing what happens when you have a guy like that, and what happens when you allow certain things to fly just because the guy is a moneymaker for the organization. You know, the UFC is learning a lot from Conor McGregor and what to do and what not to do. That is the reality of the situation. So they decided to change course. They decided to do something different. And they decided, hey, you know what? We're not going to allow this guy to run roughshod on us anymore. We're not going to allow it. We're not going to have it. Yeah, Ilya couldn't beat Patty the Batty on a good day. I don't understand what the hype is on Ilya. Yeah. But you know what? That's another big fight that they have coming up as well, right? Sometime in the future. You have Patty and Ilya Tapora somewhere down the line. Look, nobody's bigger than a program, right? A lot of people are saying, well, this fight should have happened if Bilal didn't lose or this and that. This is what I mean by nobody is bigger than a program. Whether you win or whether you lose in the UFC, and whether you're a big star that wins or loses, the UFC always has a plan with the result that comes out of it. And that plan is nobody is bigger than the program, and those three letters reign supreme on everybody. So that's that. Okay. Stay tuned. We got more bonus streams coming up right now. Okay. We got more to come. Uh, I'm just trying to find a particular topic that I want to bring up uh, regarding certain situations here. Let's see here. Let's see what I can find here. All right. So give me a few minutes. I will be right back. Wait, let me read these comments here. Patty deserves a title shot before Ilya. Burberry says, yeah, because they are like the WWE, damn near scripted. Yeah, yeah, not scripted in the fighting, but scripted in what they do behind the scenes and everything in between. You know what? There's a good topic for the bonus stream that I'm about to do in a couple of minutes right now. The topic will be that we're going to talk about is this, right? We're going to talk about, is it good for the WWE and TKO and UFC to all be affiliated with each other? Because is this whole entire WWE movie script situation going to bleed over into the fighting? Find out. Stay tuned on this live stream. Approximately, give me about 4 minutes from now. I will be right back and we will continue on with this live stream. Welcome to the bonus stream of today, and we'll get it on and cracking right here. Meanwhile, check out my picture right here with Snoop Dogg and Daz Dillinger. Enjoy. I'll be right back. Stay tuned, okay? 4 minutes. Give me 4 minutes. Stay with me, guys. Okay, I will be on in a couple of minutes. Okay, we're gonna get this bonus stream going right now. It's gonna be all audio. You may not see my face. You're just gonna see a picture, but we're gonna have a decent conversation on the post stream. Now, if you want to watch all the uh, particular uh, subjects that I wrote on the description, Tory Lanez, Canelo and Crawford getting canceled, also the big fights that the UFC has going on right now. Rewind back from the very beginning and watch it from the start. But for now, stay tuned for the bonus stream of this content. We'll be right back. All right, guys. Can everybody hear me? Just making sure mic check 1 2 1 2. I'm back. So welcome to the bonus stream that we got going on right now, where we talk about everything other than mixed martial arts. Maybe we talk about mixed martial arts as well. Maybe a whole bunch of wide range of different topics. But more importantly, sort of geared towards ultimately sort of geared towards life lessons in general, right? That's what we're going to talk about. Uh, just to sort of add a different flavor to the stream and what have you. So bear with me. I got to do this on audio though. I can't show you where I am at because let's just say that I'm going to be driving to an undisclosed location. Okay, that's the best way to put it. We're going to go to drive at an undisclosed location. And by the way, if you guys want to check out the topics that we had talked about earlier, please rewind back from the very beginning because this is going to be something a little bit different that we're going to do right now. We're going to talk about life lessons through martial arts and everything in between. So stay tuned, enjoy the ride, because we will definitely enjoy this ride with you guys right now. So let's see. Let me gather just a couple of things here, and we'll get it on and cracking. All right. Can you guys hear me? Okay, just making sure. Mic check 1 2 1 2. All right. All right, guys. Now we're back on the bonus stream right now, doing it in audio form as we do. And like I said, right, I was going to do this bonus stream. We're going to talk about different life lessons. Yes, people that live that I talk around you about. That's an important. I've seen people fail, no sense of encouragement, no sense of like loyalty around them. Every time they failed or every time they their friend life, let alone a very destroyed your lives. And some of you don't even want to admit that some of your parents have destroyed your lives. Common notion about how wussy like this whole new generation is, right? And I get that. I get that Yes, this is a different generation. Yes, they are a little bit more social justice like. Yes, they are a little bit more on the side of and all of these other categories that all these pseudo right wing intellectuals like to bring up, right? That is a reality. But what's also a reality is the abusive nature that many of us grew up under during the 90s and during the 2000s. Okay, so oftentimes when we say things like, well, you know what, just suck it up, be a man, or this and that, to a certain extent, there are elements of that that I can agree with. There's absolutely, uh, yeah, there's absolutely some things. Thinking about it, hasn't this always been a make people softer or this and that? I remember vividly in the Marine Corps boot camp back in 2004, right? I remember a drill instructor said something to us like, yeah, you know what? If it wasn't for the mothers of America, we would be training today under this heat. But because this immense amount of heat that's going on right now, we have to coddle you guys because of the mothers of America. And remember, this was in 2004 when it was on and cracking during the War on Terror era. If you guys remember, I mean, there was nothing soft about that era at all. In fact, I will admit that maybe that era was probably the hardest era of the U.S. military. Because look at all the operations that the U.S. military was engaged upon during that time. Okay, think about that. Think about all the military engagements that was going on at that time. It was insane. You had Fallujah, you had Tikrit, you had what else was going on? You had Baghdad, you had Basra, which was a Shia region mostly occupied by ISIS, right? So you had all of these elements that were going on in in the military in the mid 2000s. It was the hardest time ever to be in the military. Joined knew that they were going in there for a fight. They knew that if they were going to join the military, that it was inevitable that they were going to be in a fight. So who's to say that that was a soft era in any kind of way, right? What I'm trying to say is that they say this all the time in every generation. The older generation is always the hardest one compared to the other generation. This generation is better than this generation, or this and that. Like all these particular biasnesses that they have going on. This has always existed. So, this notion that people have where, all right, you know what, we're living in softer times or this and that. Man, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. You see what I'm saying? I really don't know if that is a reality or not, right? I don't ascribe. I mean, look, I get it. There's certain things. There are certain things about that I can sort of agree with, right? Like there are certain things that are getting a whole lot more softer. Like for example, the physical education that they have in schools, right? I don't think that they are demanding enough, right? They're not demanding enough to the point where you're pushing these kids into, a higher levels of physical fitness. Um, oh, what is this? Having good Wi-Fi is one life lesson. Is one Having a good Wi-Fi is one life lesson. I agree with Fresh Melon Juice on that one, right? Yeah, I think that if you have good Wi-Fi, you can certainly do a lot, especially on the creative side of the creative side of uh, of YouTube, right? If you're a YouTuber, yeah, you definitely have to have good internet. But you know what? A lot of the videos that I've made and a lot of the streams I've also made were not necessarily out in a studio, right? I mean, where I had to rely on my home Wi-Fi or anything like that. It was mostly just, uh, mostly outdoor stuff, right? So mostly my data that I had to use. But yeah, man, that's sort of the thing that everybody likes to, hound at, is how soft, a particular generation is, and how much harder they are than the other generation, or how much harder they had it than the other generations. That's just a common theme that a lot of people love to sort of complain about. Now, is there any merit to that reality? Look, I think there are merits to that reality, but I don't think that's the complete story of everything, right? Uh, I think that this whole entire uh, scarcity type of mentality that people have, of saying, "Oh, there are no more, real men out there," or this and that. Man, I don't know about that. Just because you're around a bunch of soft men and this and that, it doesn't mean that there aren't real men out there that do real manly things, or or really handle their business as a man, right? Like, I think that's a sad mistake that many people like to make. So I don't know, man. Uh, what else? Okay, so the other topic that I wanted to talk about earlier, just right before I went on the little few-minute intermission break that I had, uh, is it a good idea that the WWE is affiliated with the UFC? And if so, how will this affect their overall storylines? Right? Is it going to create more storylines, or are they going to be decompartmentalized in their own separate entity? Well, I'm here to say this, right? I think they're going to have a decompartmentalized situation, meaning that the decompartmentalized situation that they have is going to be where the UFC is going to be the UFC, and the WWE is going to be the WWE, and they're not going to steer or get off the beaten path uh, of that particular trajectory. They're just not, right? WWE is always going to have good storylines scripted. The UFC is always going to have good fights and sometimes boring storylines, but sometimes they have good storylines and good fights, and sometimes they have a good storyline but a boring fight, and all one in the same, right? That's what we're going to see. But I will say, it does give opportunity to different fighters to sort of transition into the next phase. Well, I'll give you an example, okay? How about Colby Covington? Now, we all know that his career is going down the drain right now, at least declining, right? The loss to Joaquin Buckley, the loss to Leon Edwards, the loss to Kamaru Usman multiple times, and then just only being able to beat certain guys with limited skills, or guys that were on their way out. He's got an option. The other option now is going into the WWE. He goes into the WWE. Guess what? He now has a new career opportunity outside of mixed martial arts. Same with Ronda Rousey. Now, look, Ronda Rousey joined the WWE during an era where TKO did not own it, but he was with Endeavor, who previously owned the UFC, and they were also managers of Ronda Rousey, but they also maintained a relationship with the WWE, so they were able to transition Ronda over into the WWE and give her a new career and give her a fresh new start and a new image for her new career. Now that the UFC and TKO and now boxing are available, all these things that you've seen in the past, with Conor McGregor being able to jump from MMA to boxing, Ronda Rousey jumping from MMA to wrestling, all these transitions, you're going to see it more often, and you're going to see it in a much easier negotiating uh, yeah, you're going to see it in a much easier negotiating situation, right? It's going to be a lot easier for people to negotiate these particular things. So something to keep in mind. Okay. What did my man stick here say? Damn, fresh melon juice. Don't do my guy Barb's like that. Having good wife. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he did to me or anything like that. I don't think that's indicative of anything other than just other than just the fact that I was paused up for a minute because I was to get up out of here and drive elsewhere. But in any regard, yeah, uh, bad Wi-Fi or anything like that. But on any regards, guys, what else do we have? I think we could run this up to 2 hours. So we got about 3 minutes. We'll run it up to 2 hours, and we'll just close it out with this, right? Um, I'm up to 800 subscribers now. Okay, and many people used to doubt that I would do anything in YouTube, that I would even come this far in YouTube. The reality is, many people quit YouTube within a couple of tries. I swear to you, they quit. Many people quit. There's a lot of dead channels out there in YouTube spaces that have not been active for a long time, that tried their luck and decided, you know what, I'm just not going to keep going. Look, if I could give any advice to anybody out there that is an aspiring YouTuber of any kind, this is what you got to do. You got to grind. There is no magic trick to it. Now, look, does it help if you're talented? Yes. Am I talented? Yes. Am I a talented speaker? Am I a trained professional speaker? I am. These are all facts. But none of you will know any of that. None of you will care about any of that if I don't put in the work. Now, how is it that you're going to get in the algorithm if you're not putting in the work? You're not there in the afternoons. You're not there at nights. You're not there all day long. You're not there in the live streams for the fights and this and that. How is it that you're going to expect to have MMA Guru numbers if you don't do MMA Guru work? Now, look, is MMA Guru talented? Yes, he is. I've told you guys this several times. The impressions that he does is great. It's funny. I'm not really into comedy or anything like that, but to each its own. If you guys like that and you guys like the element of humor in MMA, that's your guy. But on top of that, he's also very much socially intelligent. This is something that I notice about a lot of British people, right? British, Irish, Scottish, and all these people that come from the Commonwealth states, right? They are all very much entertaining people, and it is literally in their bloodstream to do so because they come from the land of Shakespeare. All right? So he's talented, but he supplemented that talent with hard work. Kobe Bryant is a great example of this. This brother, Kobe Bryant, let me read these comments real quick. Damn fresh milk. True, just keep going, bro. Stickman Plus says, yeah, shout outs to Stickman for that support. So that's what you got to do. You just got to keep grinding. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't grind, it's not going to show. Kobe Bryant, he had all the talent in the world. His dad was a former NBA player, so he had an advantage. He had a strategic advantage. He also had a genetic advantage. His dad was a player. His dad knows the game. He has the game genetically implanted in his DNA. But on top of that, man, Kobe Bryant had an insane work ethic. So it was work ethic, talent, genetics, all rolled into one. And even if you don't have any of those things, guess what? The one thing that you'll have going for you is hard work. And if you put in the hard work, eventually it will pay you back. But you just got to be patient. And with that, that is all that I have for this one, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I want to send a special shout out to Stickman Plus, Fresh Melon Juice, Blueberry, Chattiest Gaming, Irish Boy, Felix Guzman Martinez, Stickman Comp, Treachery Games, Erasimo Chavez, Dingleberry. Who else here? Who else did we have in the chat right here? Let me see. James Ray, shout out to James Ray, Toxic Gameplays, of course, and everybody around the world that has helped and supported this channel. Let's keep going. If you guys want to see all the detailed subjects that I talk about in the description, rewind back from the very beginning. This has been 2 hours of live streaming with you guys. It's been a pleasure. I will see you in the next one, inshallah. And by the way, guys, check out my video on the new fights that are out right now, right? Islam vacates his belt. I go into some details on that particular subject, and also enjoy In-N-Out Burger at the same time at the drive-thru, which you will see. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace and love to the rest of the world. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. I'll see you in the next one, inshallah.